From the moment I wake up in the morning, reminders of my never-ending to-do list start popping up. My brain still feels foggy, I'm barely awake, and yet the world seems to be anxiously waiting for me to get going. Then I jump into work, the day gets started, and it's just one thing after another. Sometimes it feels like I'm just surviving, and it's an accomplishment if I even manage to feed myself that day. Throughout the day, thoughts pop up, and there's so much to remember to get done. Sometimes this gets in the way of other thoughts, like being creative and reserving some brain power for making art. So I decided to do something about it. Back in 2020, I started reading The Artist's Way on my Kindle, but like a lot of ebooks, I started it and never actually finished. So 3 years later, I bought the physical book instead and started it all over again. In the book, Julia Cameron talks about the importance of writing the morning pages. And the morning pages really revolve around 3 rules. 1 is writing stream of consciousness. The morning pages consist of a type of journaling practice where you write your stream of consciousness for at least 3 pages first thing in the morning. It helps to clear out the monkey mind, as they say in yoga, so that you can more easily get into flow state to create art. Writing stream of consciousness is not like writing a journal entry where you recap your day or try to record all the important events in your life. Stream of consciousness is more like taking the thoughts that are always zooming through your mind and just getting them out and putting them on paper. This helps to slow down your mental processes and remove the white noise. A lot of people seem to have resistance to both journaling and writing the morning pages, but it comes pretty easily to me because I've been journaling really for most of my life. I was introduced to stream of consciousness writing in the 8th grade, where the entire class was basically just writing and writing and writing in a notebook. It didn't have to be about anything specific. The assignment was you simply had to fill up the notebook. I'm so grateful I was taught this at such a young age. I never really ran out of things to write, so for me, committing to writing 3 pages is nothing. If anything, I struggle to stop writing once I start, and it's hard for me to get anything else done. I think it just feels good to get all of that mental energy out of my body when I'm being too cerebral, so I just keep going.
So the second rule of the morning pages is that they have to be done in the morning. And this is an area where I kind of disagree with Julia Cameron a little bit because that's just not feasible for everyone. I think her point is to do them first thing when you wake up, but I just don't think everyone is a morning person, and that's like, I don't know, I think if you put that rule on people, it's kind of like they're just not gonna do them. So I'm more of a fan of just thinking about what time of day really works for you and just sticking to that. So it could be on your lunch break, it could be before you go to bed, it could be, when you get home from work. Or if you're a morning person, that's great too. Like if the idea of waking up an extra 30 minutes early and like doing your morning pages then before everyone else is awake, if that feels peaceful for you, if that's like your me time, then go for it. Then I think that's a good sign that you should do them in the morning. But for me, my brain really isn't awake yet. I'm kind of in a fog when I first wake up, and I can't get up earlier. Like, I just can't. I've always been a night owl. I'm not a morning person. Although I will say since having a kid, I've become more of a morning person than I ever thought I would be. So that's kind of interesting, which is a new development. I had a baby last year. But yeah, for me, my brain really gets cluttered more in the evening. Like that's when my monkey mind really starts going, as they say in yoga. And your thoughts are just racing and you're having a little bit of anxiety and you're thinking about everything that you have to get done, especially the next day. Some people, maybe that happens in the morning and they're thinking about everything they have to do that day. For me, it happens at night when I'm trying to sleep, and it affects my sleep sometimes. And so for me to kind of wind down, get ready for bed, maybe do a little bit of reading, and then do my morning pages at night when I'm in bed really helps clear my mind. It gets all those thoughts out of my body and onto paper. And I really think that's what's the main goal. I really think that's what's most important about doing your morning pages. And pick a time that works for you. I don't think they have to be in the morning. So if that's what's preventing you from doing the morning pages, that you think there's some magical recipe about morning time, I really disagree with that. I've been there. I've had periods in my life where I did a consistent morning practice where I woke up early and did some journaling before the day started, and I just don't think it matters. I've done both, and I kind of like doing it in the evening. Sometimes if I have a really busy day, I'll even do them on my lunch break because I have an hour to myself. I always take my lunch break. I go and eat. I find a spot usually by myself, somewhere outside if the weather's nice. And yeah, that's when I do a little bit of reading or my morning pages, or I work in my sketchbook. So I always value that 1 hour that I have in the middle of the day where no one's going to interrupt me and I can have some me time. My main point is just to make sure that you're doing your morning pages in a regular way. So pick a time that works for you. It could be different days too. Some days I do my morning pages on my lunch break. Some days I do them in the evening. I basically never do them in the morning at this point in my life because when I wake up, I'm just in a huge rush. My brain's in a fog. And honestly, like the whole idea is to get those monkey mind thoughts out of your brain. And that's happening for me more at night. So it's more strategic anyway for me to do them at night. It helps me sleep better, and honestly, I think these thoughts stay out of your body for about 24 hours. So the whole idea is just to get them out of your body and onto paper. Clearing out all those worries and to-do lists and negative energy just gets it out of your body, like I've said, and when you are writing morning pages, you are clearing that space, and when you clear the space, the art will come. So the third rule of the morning pages is that Julia Cameron really insists on doing them daily. And I agree that they should be done regularly. If you've never journaled before, or if you've never done your morning pages before, then yes, I think you should do a daily practice of at least 30 days just to get in the routine and really weigh in on their effectiveness. You may find that the morning pages are absolutely life-changing and you can't live without them, and you need to do them every single day or you're gonna fall apart. Okay, so what are some of the very basic principles in this book? The two key principles in The Artist's Way are really doing your morning pages and taking yourself on an artist date. And that's kind of what I'm doing here today. I brought my sketchbook and I'm going to have an artist date here in the park, but I want to make a whole other video about the artist date, so So what are some of the benefits of doing the morning pages? Like what actually happens once you start doing them? Well, the first benefit is one we kind of already touched on, but Julia Cameron calls it brain drain. So it is all those negative thoughts that are in your head, not necessarily even negative, but just all the things that you have to do, everything causing anxiety, everything that just really gets cluttered in your head that makes it really hard to be creative. So when you get creative, you are trying to get into flow state, right? And it's this level of concentration where you're not distracted by anything else. And so getting those distractions out of the way, just all the things you have to do, everything that you're worried about, and potentially also negative thoughts that could be stemming from your childhood, something your parents or a teacher said to you, a bully. Maybe it's a bad breakup that you had, a divorce, maybe it is grief, the loss of a loved one. There's so many hard things that can serve as blocks to being creative, and what the morning pages really helps do is get rid of your art blocks. If you're unfamiliar with the term art block, it's a lot like a writing block. So you've probably heard of a writer's block. Art block is the exact same thing. It's just this block or wall that's getting in your way that's really preventing you from being creative. And the morning pages really opens up this door for you to be able to walk through that block, and it doesn't necessarily disappear, but you are able to go through it. I mean, all those things are still gonna be there, right? Your to-do list is still there. All your, baggage and trauma is still there. Someone just ran by with her dog and I get so embarrassed that I'm out here filming because no one else is here, so it's just the two of us. It's so awkward. So what was I saying? There are negative thoughts that get in the way too, just things that are telling you that you're not gonna be good enough, that your art sucks, that it's too late to start. All of these things are something that Julia Cameron calls the censor. So the censor is kind of just this negative voice in your head that's really talking you out of being creative. Okay, so I had to change spots because I felt like people could hear me and I get so self-conscious when I'm filming, and now I've kind of lost my train of thought, so please bear with me. Julia Cameron says, when people ask, why do we write morning pages? I joke, to get to the other side. I think this is exactly what I'm talking about with art block being there. Like, those things for you are never necessarily going to disappear entirely. But when you write your morning pages, you are creating a door to be able to go through that block and still get to the other side, like Julia Cameron is talking about. So the morning pages are kind of like meditation, except they take it a step further. It definitely like calms you down, it reduces stress, it quiets the monkey mind like we talked about, but it also creates a map of your interior. When you're writing morning pages, the dreams that you might not even realize you have start to bubble up. Anyone who faithfully writes morning pages will be led to a connection with a source of wisdom within. I find that to be really true. There's another type of journaling practice called scripting that I also really love. It's a little bit different than the morning pages, but I want to explain it here because I think both can be really beneficial. So morning pages is a little bit more open. It's, again, brain drain. It's getting all those thoughts out of your head that are just stream of consciousness, getting it out of the way and clearing your mind so that you can be really creative, right? And as you're doing them, again, there's no wrong way to do morning pages, absolutely no wrong way. But it's not supposed to be like a journal where you're recording, this happened today, blah, blah, blah. I'm having this problem with my boss or my mother or whatever. It's not supposed to be a journalistic recap. It is supposed to be just your insides coming out. However, there's this practice called scripting, which is a little bit more of future writing. So what is scripting? Scripting is another way I think you can totally do morning pages, but it's a little bit more intentional. And you have different buckets that are kind of the pillars of life. So you have finances, you have creativity, you have your career, you have family, you have your romantic relationship, and maybe travel is another one. And so you kind of write these buckets as if the future has already happened. And it really helps to kind of clear out limiting beliefs as well. So for the money one, maybe you say, money comes to me easily and effortlessly. I make $10,000 per month. And you want to be specific so that it starts to feel real. The more times you write it, it's just this visionary practice of something that feels unattainable can all of a sudden feel attainable. And as you start to envision it and you start to believe it. And when you start to believe it, it can actually happen. Like, that's kind of where the juice is and the magic. And you start to realize that these things are not impossible, and it's just a step-by-step, okay, what are these things I can do this week or today that's gonna take me one step further going in that direction? And I think that's another really great way to do morning pages. Okay, let's talk about the suffering artist mentality. I think that there are so many limiting beliefs around being an artist or being a creative, and that's something that Julia Cameron definitely talks about in the book, and it's something that morning pages can certainly help get rid of. So Julia Cameron writes 20 different limiting beliefs, and some of the ones that resonate with me is that I will have to be alone, I will never have any real money. So I think these are some things that we associate with being an artist, and it's just not true. Some other ones are, everyone will hate me, I will hurt my friends and family, I will go crazy, I don't have enough good ideas, and so on. And so there's so many limiting beliefs that come with being an artist, and doing your morning pages really helps expose the lies that these are, because they are lies. Some other negative beliefs about artists are that artists are drunk, crazy, broke, irresponsible, loners, promiscuous, doomed, unhappy, born and not made. They're born with talent, not skill. They didn't work hard to create a skill set. And I feel like I hear that one a lot too. I don't necessarily have that belief, but I feel like a lot of people do feel like being an artist is about being born with talent, and that is just not true. You have to have an interest and you have to work hard at something, and it's easy to work hard at something when you enjoy it, right? And so when you enjoy it, you spend a lot of time on it, and that's what helps make you good. Some other ones that I highlighted are, I can either be romantically happy or an artist. I can either be financially successful or an artist. And another one that I didn't see in the book, but that I definitely felt for a long time, was that as a woman, I can either choose to have kids and have a family or be an artist. Like, I didn't really think I could do both. Or if I did, both would suffer. But I've had a baby now, I have an amazing husband, and like, we're building our family, and I'm still able to have a creative career, and yeah, all those things just turned out not to be true. So some of the things you can write in your morning pages to kind of expel those limiting beliefs are kind of along the lines of scripting, which I just talked about, but are that I deserve love, I deserve fair pay, I deserve a rewarding creative life, I'm a brilliant and successful artist. And writing these things down, even if it's hard for you to write it because you feel like it might not be true yet, just write it and it will become true. You can manifest the destiny you want to have in your creative life.